roster, you get that play time. So still looking as strong as ever, hopefully to continue their dominance in this season as well. And coming up with us now, was Contenders last season, but have moved their way through trials, had a relatively solid performance. Phase 2, revamped.
Well, they're going to have to be revamped and more if they want to deal with Atlanta, where Atlanta, to call them the favorites here would be the understatement of the century.
See Atlanta actually rolling out for Busan with this Torb Orisa comp. They want to play slow. They want to have Sugarfree playing the Soldier, just getting all the shield damage they need, and then having the Torb and the Soldier get value. But Phase 2, when they see this composition, they just go back to spawn and they swap. They get the Moira. Their plan is just to walk all over. They want to own point and try to run over the front line for Atlanta Academy.
Well, they immediately run in. The Halt going to connect from Gator early in Phase 2. Getting poked down from all sides. Rhine Shield going to be falling early, and down goes the Rhine. Too much pressure onto the Rhine early. And now Atlanta, they get the drop down and just casually clean up the rest of Phase 2.
And that's first fight. And even though Phase 2 get the first flip, we've talked about it previously, it's not about the first flip, it's about winning the first fight. And Atlanta do just that. And Phase 2 didn't, despite the fact they made a comp swap, they didn't really adjust to Atlanta's strategy at all. They wanted to go point first, but if you go point, Sugarfree, Saucy, Hawk, they're just going to be rolling your Rhine Shield. Exactly what happened for Dan's. Dan's loses the shield, goes down immediately, and Phase 2 lose the fight because of it, because they don't have that presence for barriers. They probably need to take the fight into Atlanta.
Well, this is very problematic also because you've lost first fight against Sombra composition. You should be winning first fights against Sombra composition. Now Saucy, building up EMP super quickly. Already has it, can drop in the middle of the fight. Sugarfree, though, finds Winston early in Atlanta. They might save. No, they decide not. They use the EMP, and the cleanup's going to be super easy.
That is Atlanta Academy using the EMP, using the visor as well to win that fight. I agree with you where sort of the hesitation, we're like, oh, maybe they probably should drop EMP, and they probably shouldn't have. I think the fight was going to be won either way, especially with Dan's on this Winston now. So when the bubble's out, when the barrier's gone, there's no primer on the field. Atlanta Academy, especially Hawk and Sugarfree, are very free. They're free to put that damage into Phase 2. Phase 2 now, after losing that fight, need to win this one. They need to win this one or the ult economy is going to be so pretty much unfavorable for them.
The problem is they're still at a disadvantage as they move in. You see Dan's going in from the outskirts here. Chases Sombra, that's going to translocate away. Phase 2, they're super low here. They can't really fight the supercharger straight up. And Atlanta just, rotating around. They're completely fine.
Yeah, they're fine. They're still just playing this shield. Phase 2, they haven't really had an answer yet to get on top of Gator, to get on top of Hawk, who've been sitting here for free, continuing to build up those ults. The supercharger's been used, just buying more time. Now Phase 2 looking to engage with the Coalescence.
Well, they're going to move in, but already getting chunked down. Pika dives down the turret, loses the mech for it. That's not a great trade, and now the floor is lava. Hawk needs the molten core directly on the point, and Phase 2 not even remotely close to challenging this Atlanta defense.
And Hawk has just been saving that molten core for the dive, for that engagement, and as soon as the engage comes out for Phase 2, they drop molten core. And they die. They just die to lava. The floor is lava. How do they commit to that? How do they win that fight without a beat, without a trance? They didn't want to use beat there, and now we're in a last fight territory where they have to stagger on a point.
Pika, again, going to be the first one in. First one out. Phase 2 desperately trying to move on in, but there's just no hope. Atlanta far too entrenched at this point. And Hawk, easy cleanup. Beat going to keep everyone safe. And this is one case where why not overlay the support ults? It does not matter.
Yeah, it also guarantees the fight win on top of not mattering. It just guarantees it. So a safe play for Atlanta, knowing that Phase 2 didn't have any ults. And at any point during that round, did you see Phase 2 take a great engagement? And the answer was no. They never had a strong engagement. They prioritized point a couple times, which is the wrong move against that comp, because unless you're getting point presence and also getting some pressure, there's no reason for them to drop because they're always going to win the spam war. And then B, they just never had a solid engage.
I mean, I would just point to the second to last fight. The state of Phase 2's offense there was, we are trading D.Va's life for a Torbjorn turret. That was the impact of the Phase 2 offense. Atlanta just completely outplayed Phase 2 in every aspect of the game.
Looks like Atlanta might be potentially rolling out on what could be a very interesting comp. I think they're going to be swapping here. They're going the Busan comp we've seen before. Now with no Soldier, Sugarfree on the Brigida.
Nope, Soldier's back.
Soldier again. So they are playing that same composition we just watched. They've been playing very tight around Gator and Hawk, letting Saucy rotate around, build EMP. Phase 2 coming out on the 3-3. Pretty standard for them. They should stay on this comp if that is what they think, unless they want to go triple DPS or maybe even a 2-2 of their own.
Well, Sugarfree does get the break out of Brigida jail for a time here, and I mean, for Phase 2, I'm curious to see what they're going to swap up to, and they're going to go to Pharah, Roadhog, Hanzo, so they are going heavily DPS based. I just don't know if that's going to work versus the Orisa.
So now Phase 2, making these swaps, going to have to re-enter after the point's been flipped for Atlanta. Atlanta's going to be set up entirely, and like you talked about, they have this Pharah Mercy, they have the Hanzo, so their goal, especially with the Roadhog, is to break shield.
Yeah.
It is not to flank. It's not to do anything crazy. They really want to break shield here. They should win shield wars.
The thing is, the shield is a bit of a decoy. You still have to deal with the rest of the damage, which just go in directly. They take down Pika, and Pika just acts as a gigantic walking ult battery for the rest of Atlanta.
Hawk is down, though, and Sugar-Free. A10 gets another Astro, trying to get some peel there. A10 gets another, so it's not winnable, this fight right now. There's no flip going to happen for phase 2, but the next fight, they should be able to get back in and retake the point while Atlanta is not set up. But it's all going to be based around Saucy's EMP ZP. Saucy's EMP is the fight winner here for Atlanta Academy.
Well, Atlanta, they can just back up a little bit, wait for Saucy to set up, drop the EMP, and go from there. Atlanta's in a very, very good spot here where, yeah, phase 2, they're going to move on to the point first, but there's the EMP. They even get the flip, but Atlanta's all over them. The flip's going to last for all of 3 seconds.
And Atlanta, despite losing those picks earlier to A10, they came back in late. Phase 2 were on point, and all they had to do was play EMP, and it was a great EMP from Saucy. They get the cleanup frags. Now phase 2 having to come back in here again. They're going to have the Nano Barrage very soon. They're going to have Dragon Strike, so they have it, and even also the Valkyrie. So they have some ults to break the hold, but you're going to have to walk into a Supercharged Soldier. A Supercharged Soldier on top of the Peel ult from Molten Core.
And sadly for phase 2, I mean, this is their best opportunity, and it's not even one that they're necessarily favored in.
No, they're not favored in this because they have no defensive ults. 0 defensive ults versus this Supercharger, the Molten Core, and the Visor. There's no Diva on the field, remember, so if A10 or Sox want to flank, they can just get Visor out of the sky.
They open up the Supercharger. Hawk gonna fall. A10, the one bright spot for phase 2 here so far, finding pickoffs on the Hanzo. 6-on-5. Best opportunity for phase 2 here. Dragon in reserve. Sugar-Free gonna fall. It's 2 for A10. And now A10 moving forward.
A10 right now on the point, taking these duels. There's the hook. Kodak down. So this flip is going to happen for phase 2. A10. I think we can definitely be pointing to him so far for phase 2 and his performance on Hanzo. And and one of the major reasons, at least, phase 2 is at all in this game, in this round.
And to phase 2's credit here is that they're in a reasonable spot ult-wise going to the next fight. The problem is they still have to find a way of playing around EMP.
Yeah, EMP is going to be coming in and double support ult for Atlanta, so if they wanted to, especially with Gator on the Hammond, they're not even running Orisa, though Hawk is still on Torb. They could engage extremely aggressively with Gator on this Hammond now.
Again, A10 strikes, find Sugar-Free on the other side, and I mean, the Soldier versus Hanzo matchup is actually pretty difficult for the Soldier.
It is. I mean, Hanzo is with the suit, also with the Storm arrows now over that Scatter arrow that was replaced a while back. He's so mobile. He does so much damage. The 1v1 fights, especially at a distance, are extremely powerful for him. Sugar-Free now just going to go Tracer. And Hawk going Diva, so it's full dive for Atlanta. They want to commit with this EMP. If they wanted to, they could still take another eco fight, get ults out of phase 2, then use the EMP. I think that's wise, considering they have enough time.
Tracer isn't necessarily an upgrade here. I mean, it's better than Soldier, but it's still dangerous. But already, they dive in, they deal with the far immediately. Man advantage here to Atlanta. They use the EMP, and they dive in after that. And the dive, effective. Sugar-Free, not getting hit by any arrows, does run directly into the hole, but it doesn't matter. Gator, all over it. This is like Atlanta is going to finish out map 1 post-haste.
Atlanta now cleaning up these frags. They engage with the beat, with the EMP, and despite Sugar-Free getting domed by that Nano Whole Hog, it does not matter. It's just clean up. First map.
When the sleep hits you so hard, it actually just blacks out the screen. Like that's good. That's a good sleep.
It's a good sleep, but it was a irrelevant sleep, right? Yeah. Good sleep, but irrelevant. It's like, oh, it's flashy, but it's sort of like having, it's like having racing stripes on your car. It doesn't actually make the car go any faster. It just looks nice.
I wasn't even referring to the actual play. I'm just saying that was a good sleep when it just knocks you out that hard.
Oh, well, out like a light, they say. Out like a light, says contemporary artist Drake. So that is first map going to Atlanta Academy over phase 2, and what looked to be a solid performance in phase 2, especially for A10 at times. I think that A10 on that Hanzo was really the primary driver behind that last round for Busan for them. But once Atlanta Academy make those swaps, they had those ult economy, it was going to be over.
Well, the other problem, too, is that Atlanta's early setups were so strong with the composition they were running that it forced phase 2 to swap out of their comfort zone. By the time phase 2 even got a fight, they were just in the hole where even on the second round there, which was definitely better for them than the first round, they ended up getting control when Atlanta already had 60%. So they were just in the hole, and actually fighting back from that is so incredibly difficult.
It is. And I think Atlanta also knew their win conditions extremely well. They knew how to use the multi-core as a peel ult. We saw it multiple times on Busan where Hawk on Torbjorn was actually using the multi-core just waiting for the engagement, and he denied those pushes. And then while it was happening, the EMP was being farmed. They made sure to use Supercharger to remove defensive ults and set up Sugar-Free. So overall, Atlanta's just grasp of the comp and how they wanted to play it was a lot stronger than phase 2, and they didn't know how to counter it.
Now, one thing I have to ask here for Atlanta running this is that Do you think that this is actually an outright powerful composition Atlanta is running? Because we have seen more bunker-esque compositions. A lot of people feel like Torb, non-sarcasm, not trolling, is actually a legitimate power pick at points now. It's what people have been coming around to. Do you think that Atlanta's running this as we think this is the best, or do you think they're running this as, well, we can get away with it versus phase 2?
I think it could be a mixture. I think it could be a mixture of both, where we've seen Outlaws, beat Titans with this composition in Overwatch League, which started this whole huge debate that we've now had to endure. But the comp is good on Busan. The comp is legitimately good on Busan. Could Atlanta also be very confident knowing that they can get away with it? Also, probably yes. Yeah. It's probably a mixture of both, but the comp is definitely by no means a troll comp.
So Atlanta living up to their reputation, where let's not forget what Darth Astro originally proclaimed to the contenders as a whole, saying, we want to go 28-0. They don't want to drop a map, is what Atlanta's playing for. So for them, it's not even about winning every match, even though that should be the main goal. It's about winning every match and simply dominating the opposition.
Which is a very possible goal for them.
Yeah.
It's an achievable goal considering this is one of the few remaining strong rosters from last season. They were very good last season as well. And moving into a refresh NA Contenders with a lot of new faces, a lot of new teams that have to get to the Contenders level, have to have that synergy. It's a very achievable goal.
And I mean, the Scrimbucks Express, for whatever it's worth, also puts Atlanta as a nearly unbeatable juggernaut right now in the contender scene, to where they have to look to Overwatch League teams to get good practice at the moment.
Atlanta Academy going to be running just the full 3-3 here on the defense with Kodak on the Ana rather than the Zen. They want to get this Nano. They want to engage with Gator, farm that Primal.
Well, phase 2 immediately diving on in, forcing Gator out. Gator not getting the most charge that he would have liked there early on. In fact, Sugar Free going to fall. Man advantage of phase 2. Caught Atlanta a little bit off guard here. Gator stunned, dispatched. And this might be a very quick take for phase 2.
This was not only a quick take, but it was a great take for phase 2. They see Atlanta's comp, they running on a Winston, so they know Atlanta wants to play slow and build Nano. They just rushed a point, isolated target, which was Sugar Free, and now they're winning here on point. The focus fire is too much, the Discord is too much, there's no Nano available just yet.
And I think Atlanta might be playing themselves here. They're trying to recontest, but all they're doing is feeding phase 2. They're making the snowball for point B so much larger. This can only be described as a bit of a misplay for Atlanta.
This is going to be a tough hold for Atlanta. It's very doable still, but it's going to be a tough hold. They will have the 2 tanks, and the tank ults, and the Nano boost, but the rally's going to be used for Sox, and they're going to look for an engage and just force them off.
Immediately going in, they drop the Shadow. Sugar Free out of the fight. Saucy down on the ground. Kodak dropping Nano before falling, but this is looking all sorts of tough for Atlanta right now. The snowball just overwhelming every pick off the phase 2 so far here on point B. They have 38% here. Gator, though, Primal finds one in the back line. B can be invested. Atlanta starting to come back out onto the point, saying, maybe we don't want to give up point B so easily. Sox in danger. Sox is going to get leapt on, and Sox still alive. Gator ends up falling. The Beat going to save it just in the nick of time, and phase 2 still in there.
There's the solo grab onto Astro, catching him after that. Then the grab from Saucy. Is there any follow-up for Sugar Free have Rally? Yes, there is follow-up, and Sugar Free has Rally. They're going to hold this. It's done, ZP.
Still not bad for phase 2, even though I do think they should have finished that out there. Atlanta had a pretty gutsy defense where they were able to delay just enough, get a few key pickoffs, and keep open the possibility of defense. And now phase 2, instead of having a 6-minute time bank, we don't know what it's going to be.
Don't know the time bank.
And sadly, too, they don't get 2 ticks.
They do not get the 2 ticks. That is extremely important as well. Phase 2, moving back in here for this next offense. They are going to have ults in the bank. They'll have the double support ult. They're going to have Shatter. Dan's has been a master of recognizing the win conditions on the Reinhardt so far versus Gator's Winston. But how does he compare against Gator on Reinhardt? How does the Reinhardt v Reinhardt battle take shape here for Atlanta versus phase 2?
Well, one good thing for Dan's going in here, of course, Gator's just swapped, so Dan's doesn't have to worry about the prospect of a Shatter for this fight, and so he can be a little bit more aggro and setting up his own. Shatter going to come down here, knocks down 2! Atlanta, though, covering Kodak immediately there at the Transcendence. Atlanta still completely okay, but you look at A10. The Graviton is ready. He knows there's no Transcendence up there. Going to drop the Graviton in the middle of the fight, but phase 2, they can't get in to clean it up.
Hawk using his body as a way to peel for the grab entirely. The Shadow's out for Gator, knocking down so many members of phase 2. Can they get cleaned up? The grab comes out in return. There's no support ults. Still, though, this is okay for phase 2 if they live. If Dan stays alive here, no, it's done.
It's over.
He's gone. Bye-bye, no sustain available. And what looked to be a very winnable fight for phase 2 turned into a losable one as soon as Hawk's peel and gave up his life and his mech from that grab for A10, making sure that A10 and the rest of phase 2 could not clean up.
Yeah, I mean, phase 2, they had a very winnable condition there, as you say, where all they had to do was land the grab after the Transcendence, dive on in, but the peel was enough.
Phase 2 having to re-enter here. They're going to have ults, the double support ult, and really another chance at triple support ult fight with the D.Va Bomb. And they know Saucy doesn't have grab, so this is once again a fight where they should commit. They can't lose anyone in the cross, but with the triple support ult and the bomb, they have opportunities to engage. They have opportunities to know that Saucy won't have to grab just yet. They just need to worry about post-grab fight, post-engage fight.
Well, they're rotating in through left side. Rally going to be used. Phase 2, bringing the pain over the Atlanta. Gator getting very low. Transcendence up in time for Kodak. Going to be keeping Gator in the fight. But look at this. A10 again, getting close to a grab. This is an ideal situation once more for Phase 2. But the Shatter coming in puts Pika and A10 onto the ground. A10, though, gets back up. Transcendence keeping Phase 2 in the fight. Bomb going to be used. Graviton out. Phase 2 in it. Now where they get to drop the grab of their own. There's their grab. The cleanup moving on in. Astro, though, equalizes, but I don't know if it's going to be enough. It's too much. A10 doing so much work.
A10 doing so much there. They're on the point. Sox pops the rally just to commit it, just to finish it off. A10 like a Gatling gun, not missing. 90 LG. The boop onto the Gator as well, so there's no recontest available. Phase 2. I'm impressed, honestly, on Anubis so far. I've liked their assessment of their win conditions. I like how they know how they want to engage. They trade their support ults. Then they just post-grab fight. They win the grab with A10 after all the support ults are gone. And part of that is because of Pika's great defensive bomb. You don't see teams using the bombs quite as much for offense rather than defense now.
Not only that, but just in general, the pressure coming in from Dan's in terms of just keeping them in the neutral game has been pressuring Atlanta to the point that whether it be Earth Shatter, whether it just be general poke pressure, Kodak has had to use Transcendence early. He has not been able to save Transcendence for Graviton, and while Atlanta was able to get away from that in the first fight where they had grab versus no Transcendence, the second time it comes around, A10 lands a very good grab. It's not Eden, and Phase 2 is able to get the follow-through. So Atlanta, a team that wants to go 28-0, getting a little bit rocked on that defense there on Anubis.
And you have to think of it like a snowball effect, too. When you use Transcendence early, then Astro is pressured because he might have to use Beat early. Because now Phase 2 is like, whoa, our grab's getting set up and we can be more aggressive because we know there's no Transcendence, there's no instant react ult. So we can be moved forward and get pressure onto your front line, which forced Astro to beat a little bit early as well because they didn't have it. They did not have that Transcendence to fall back on. So Atlanta Academy got to be on the offense here, looking to equalize these time banks.
We might see the true face of Atlanta here. We've been wondering, well, what composition are they going to come out with? Is it going to be something, a little bit more DPS heavy? No, they've been pushed to the limit, and now it's going to be 3-3, where, we'd be remiss not to mention, you wonder where GOATS came from? Look at Gator. He was there when it first started entering Overwatch.
So now, Phase 2 on the defense. Playing a pretty standard 3-3 with Dan's on this Winston. No Ana this time, so they're not playing the Atlanta strategy of let's farm Nano for the Primal. As Atlanta try to enter, they actually try to catch Lucio so early for Phase 2. But he gets out. No, he's not going to get out. Saucy manages to get him in the end. So bye-bye Lucio, one player down.
Astro helping on that chase as well. So it's a very clean 6-on-5 for Atlanta. Phase 2 in a very, very tough spot. And look at that. Astro again going in pretty deep. Heavy poke damage coming in. Pika lucky to keep the mech. But the front line from Phase 2 in a really tough spot. Dan's cannot stay up and contest right now. Needs to get healed. Meanwhile, Atlanta getting free progress on the point. However, Phase 2 about to be back at the full strength. Dan's though down. Kodak going to finish him. And this is looking real good for Atlanta.
That is the problem with pretty much the Winston defense here, ZP, is that when you're running this Winston, it's the same issue that Atlanta had. As soon as Atlanta Academy choose to engage, to take one member out, focus fire them, and then able to burst fire Dan's, the Reinhardt's just so much better at surviving and getting that damage onto the main tank. They win the frontline war without the Primal. Now Atlanta have a chance to snowball.
Well, the speed from Atlanta is remarkable here. They immediately run it down mid. They go directly onto point, and they force Phase 2, say, hey, you guys need to run into us. Hawk, drop the bomb. Hugging the wall directly to the back. Doesn't get what he's looking for. Phase 2, they rally, go the other way. A10 drops a Graviton. Funny Astro, taken for a ride. Phase 2, starting to fight this back. And the Transcendence from Nishik, just in time to save Dan's. It's going to be Phase 2 holding.
Just in time to save Dan's, but at the cost of what? They don't have Transcendence for the next fight. Saucy will have Grav. So for Phase 2, when you look at this next fight, they need to be not only getting these stagger kills, which is so crucial, but this D.Va Bomb and the beat for Lep, they're gonna have to be good. They're gonna have to be very good. They're gonna have to be well timed to make sure that there is no cleanup available for Saucy on that grab.
Well, I mean, you've exactly nailed it for the next fight, is that ideally you want to eat the grab. If you don't do that, Pika has to use the bomb in a defensive manner.
Atlanta Academy moving up here, looking to enter the point, looking to set their engage. Their goal right now is looking for a grab. It is only for the grab, and Phases 2 is to deny grab, deny value.
Oh, or you just shatter. You just do that. You take down Gator early, and then you don't even have to worry about the grab. And the only downside there for phase 2 is that Nishik was one of the few people that fell early. So Transcendence might not be ready for the next fight.
Transcendence might not be ready, but it should still be fine at the end. And it was also the Bash Shatter return. The Shatter's great, but the Bash Shatter even better when you have that great combo play. So good Bash for Sox, recognizing that once that bubble was used on entry, it's not there to stop the Bash. Setting up Dan's. I will give a lot of credit to phase 2's front line. That front line of A10, Dan, Sox, and Pika, they've been doing a lot. Doing the most for phase 2, as it said. Atlanta's still looking to re-enter, but now they don't have that huge advantage. No supportals for their grabs. So
this needs to be the fight for Atlanta. They open with the rally. They're not going to have an advantage like this for a while. They already get the first pickoff. Dan's in trouble. They force out the Transcendence, but they grab immediately right after. It's still going to be okay for phase 2. They're down 1, but they can still fight this back. A10 holding on to the grab of his own. And Kodak transcends early. If phase 2 could just survive a little bit longer, they use the beat. Now they have grab. A10 well set up here. The Graviton needs to be eaten. Hawk has to be all over it. Dan's is down. Nishik, though, fighting back. Both teams down to Reinhardt. A10 still holding on to the grab. Waiting until the last moment here, and phase 2 might not even have to use it.
Phase 2 look like they don't want to have to use grab at all. They would rather hold on to it. A good hold for phase 2, because Atlanta, they're so split. They're already backed out of this point, especially without the Reinhardt shield, that there was no need to commit it. They could have done it, but I'm glad that they did not, because that shows an incredible amount of restraint from A10. A10 once again doing the most. And Atlanta Academy have to rotate back in here, come from this flank side, and it's getting to the point where they still have plenty of bank, but if they want to equalize time, this is the fight to do it.
Basically looking a lot better here. Graviton can be used early by A10. Going to be forcing out on the other side, but Kodak didn't have Transcendence, and they just lose Gator immediately in Atlanta. They just have to hit the brakes. They have to back it on out.
They're going to get staggered here as well. They want to keep Saucy's energy alive. Looks like they will do so. They managed to move, managed to get out of there. And now we're at the point where Atlanta Academy are probably not going to be able to equalize time banks. Their goal here is now just have a slightly less bad time bank.
Well, the key here, too, is that they have to win this with time left on the clock. If it goes to an overtime push, the best they would be able to do is a draw. And that's not 28-0, by the way.
Atlanta Academy soon to be off with 5 ults. Phase 2 looking about the same, but they know A10 doesn't have grab. They know A10 doesn't have grab, so if this is their fight they want to take, they should do it now. No grab on the field just yet for A10. You can look to engage, maybe run over the front line where there's no peel grab. A lot of pressure onto Dan's.
Atlanta moving back in. Dan's feeling the pressure for sure. Gator, though, feeling pressure on the other side, and it forces Transcendence out early again. However, A10 not ready with the grab. The punish grab, Eden! Pika smothering the grab from Saucy, and this is so good for phase 2. Dan's drops a shatter. Heavy pressure. Atlanta still up with 6. They use the beat at the right time. Still winnable here for Atlanta. Phase 2 dropping the beat, moving back in. However, it is a 6-on-5. Saucy finding Dan's. The bomb from Hawk is good, and Atlanta's still in there.
Atlanta definitely still in here because the bomb keeping Gator alive. The pressure was so strong. A10 will have grab now, but can they even clean it up? The answer is probably not. Even if they catch Saucy, they're still going to have to come back, recontest the point. But with Saucy going down, A10 might have made just the play they need to win this fight.
Emergency Doomfist moving in on a Women of Prayer. Gator's down! That's so big for phase 2 if they want the miracle hold. Atlanta does not have this. Kodak in danger. Kodak gonna fall here, perhaps. 25 HP. Good containment. Decides not to use Transcendence. Sugar Free with the save. And Atlanta regrouping here. This is really nice pressure they're maintaining, but I still think they have to back out.
Sugar Free and Astro keeping the back alive, Kodak alive. There's the rally again. They're able to catch A10 on the corner with the rally engage, but can they clean up Dan's Shatter? Dan's Shatter not able to be followed up at all.
It's a nice shatter. It buys some time, but it does not necessarily win the fight for phase 2. The shatter from Gator knocks multiple down. Atlanta unable to go in on it. Kodak's Transcendence about to fade. Gator, though, finding Brigitte on the other side. Atlanta getting back onto the point once more. 1:45 to go in phase 2. Can they delay it out again? It's not looking likely.
Basically going to have to swap onto Stall Heroes now. Sox going back onto the Doomfist. Left soon to have the beat, but unlikely to get it in this fight because the cleanup's just going to be happening. Yes, they're going to counterpin Sox. But that was an incredible defense for phase 2. I think that was a very, very solid defense. Atlanta had good moments. Astro in particular still getting incredibly value beats, having the good peel. But because of this focus fire, they put on the Dan's and then somehow lose the resulting war onto Gator. Atlanta was just putting set back multiple times on that push.
Not only that, but you want to talk about bright spots for phase 2. A10's play here, whether it be in the first map where he was truly the main bright spot when you look to his Hanzo play in the second round, you look to A10's Zarya play here, and it has been consistently good for phase 2. Excellent judgment in Gravitons, and really just going, okay, I'm not going to rush this. I'm going to pay attention to Kodak and Transcendences, where Atlanta is getting pressured so much in these fights that, again, Kodak is having to transcend early, and it's letting A10, who's being very patient, continually just capitalize on the transcendence usage of Atlanta.
Phase 2 look to be rolling out here on a bunker. We see the bunker for Anubis first. We've seen it. Many teams have been utilizing this a lot, especially this Ashe. A10 going to be on the Ashe, Sox on the Torb. So Phase 2 looking to just survive the dive, get that shield pressure onto Gator. Atlanta might swap up, but we've seen 2-3 have some success against this if you're able to have those strong rotations.
Comes down to A10 here. Anytime you're running an Ashe focus setup, it puts disproportionate pressure on the Ashe, not only to be landing good shots, but also good dynamites. Dynamite, something that can really slow down the other team, and that dynamite there, I don't think caught as much as he would have liked, but also short cooldown. Atlanta's biding their time.
Atlanta look like they're deciding if they want to go back and swap and spawn.
They're swapping.
They are, yeah. Kodak going to be going Moira. So with this Moira pick, when you expect that, when you see a Moira, you have two choices. You can commit to a shield of point presence, which I don't think is the right play, or you can commit to running over the front line, especially taking out Dans and Pika, maybe Sox. But because of how Phase 2 are holding, they see this, and they've already moved to the high ground. They put the turret up there. They want Atlanta to either commit to point or have to rotate all the way to them.
It's a time-burning rotation that Atlanta's going to have to do here, and that still favors Phase 2.
Phase 2 now going to rotate once again from the high ground. Going to move back and reset up. They've made Atlanta take that time to rotate, force them off the high ground, and now they have to come to point and fight them again.
Kodak already getting very low. Moira, not a hero known for dying early in fights, but man, that little poke can sometimes do it. And Atlanta just trying to get presence here on the point. Phase 2 still rotating around. You have Hawk getting in A10's face, but A10's getting pocketed. A10's in a good spot. The Bob is already built, and Bob's going to join the fray.
Bob's out. He's doing a lot. The Coalescence is active as well. The question is, can Atlanta survive through this fight? And it's yes. Atlanta can survive. Their sustain is good. The Coalescence was meaty. That was a meaty Coalescence on top of a meaty Bob. And now Atlanta, you have to look at these ult CP. Look at the ult for Atlanta.
A10 just has to drop down in feed. I think A10's likely going to swap here. 65% to Bob, not enough. And Atlanta gets 30 seconds to just roll in on a composition that's going to be very snowbally.
It's one fight. It's one fight here for Atlanta Academy versus Phase 2. Phase 2 are going to commit to the bunker as well because they have Supercharger. They're close to the Multicore and the Bob again, so they're definitely committing to this composition. But if Atlanta can get this grab, if they can get this grab off, even if it's not great, they will still be able to theoretically win the fight on point.
It's a harder area to get value out of Avast, but A10's already done it. Heavy damage coming in, builds the Bob very, very quickly as Atlanta comes in on the intro. Final 5 seconds. They need to stand the point all the while. Bob out of the fight. Beat can be used, and they're just diving into Phase 2. Gator drops the Shatter. Bob over the top. Hawk moving on in. And it's looking real good for Atlanta here. They got caught on the grab on the other side. And Phase 2 slowly getting burned down as Atlanta looking to put the 4th point on the board.
Looking exactly like what I predicted there for that fight, where all you have to do is get the grab, they get the grab. Even if they don't immediately clean it up, they get the frags in the end, they're on point. Their composition is stronger than Phases 2 if they didn't get those early picks, which they did not. Now it's all stagger for Phase 2. They're coming out and stall, they're getting Pika onto the May, Dans on the Hammond. There's no ults available. If they're lucky, they might be able to get a pick. Their only goal is here to get a pick.
Sugar-Free getting low. Sugar-Free just able to get out of there. The heal's coming in just in the nick of time. Hawk has a bomb up. Should be dropping into here soon just to make a little bit of space. Sox out of the fight. Gator getting low. Gator cannot die here. It'd be quite rough. Doesn't happen. Atlanta, 4th point on the board.
Atlanta playing that the way they had to. I think we saw Phase 2. It was really sort of a reverse to the last map in a lot of ways, ZP, where Busan, Phase 2 decides to go to the Moira 3-3 and try to beat the bunker. But they take the fight to point rather than into them. But you see Atlanta, when they make that swap, they're taking the fight into Phase 2. They know they must take that fight into them. And then because they win first, all they have to do is just win a couple ult exchanges on second, just get the ults out at all, and they win the neutral fight. So Atlanta recognized that win condition. But Phase 2 have burnt the clock pretty significantly. They do have that time bank.
One thing that was really nice for Atlanta there as well was just how they were dealing with the Bobs coming out from A10, where A10 would throw out the Bobs pretty early in fight. And you saw Atlanta just kind of hold back, focus the Bob, then go to the rest of the team. And Phase 2 wasn't really able to punish Atlanta while they were just taking that breather and going, okay, we're actually not going to deal with Bob in this fight. So, it was interesting to see it go down where, Bob's a pretty polarizing ult in the comp community in terms of how good people think it is.
Bob right now, I think his effectiveness is limited against all the tanks, but once you see more 2-2-2 or even triple DPS, Bob becomes a lot stronger because he does a decent amount of damage to squishy heroes and he does not miss.
No.
He does not miss, which is one of the benefits of having squishy heroes is they can dodge your shots, but Bob does not miss. You can't dodge Bob. And I think also for phase 2, when they're running that bunker, it's a lot harder for them to follow up with Bob. How do you follow up when you're running Orisa and Torb? How do you follow up the Bob?
Well, speaking of change-ups here, Atlanta, they've changed up their first defense where they're not running Gator on the Winston anymore. They're going with a Jake-approved defense. It's going to be Sugar-Free on the Junkrat and Saucy back here in the Ashe, so it's a lot more DPS heavy.
No Torb for them. Nothing of the sort. No 3-3 either. So their goal is to just get the... And I like that they're swapping to this DPS-centric defense with Gator on the Orisa, because especially if they know phase 2 wants to play Winston, then you're able to punish the Winston a lot heavier with the Junkrat and with the Ashe. And you're just so much damage. The chokes here for Anubis are so brutal.
Lucio under pressure, dropping Dynamite in response. Looking for Lucio on the other side. Lucio just barely able to get away. Meanwhile, the focus fire on the Dans coming in from Gator on the other side. Sugar-Free cleaning up phase 2. This is not the fight they want. They need to back out. Even getting Astro, I think they still need to reset.
They have to make sure not... Pika can't lose mech. If Pika loses mech, it's going to change a lot. Good mech save for Pika. Could be a stagger here. No. It's going to be safe. Nishik still holding, knowing not to peek, knowing he can't get caught here, because if he dies right now, Astro's death was for nothing. It means that he'll be there. He'll be reset in time. The phase 2 trying to go fast while Astro's not set up.
The poke from Atlanta a little bit worse than having the damage boost immediately, but Sugar-Free finding Dans, using the Junkrat onto the Winston, and Sugar-Free, just a madman in the front line right now. Already has the tire built up, but he might not even need it.
Well, this is the power of the Junkrat and the Ashe for this defense versus a 3-3 setup like phase 2 have with the Winston, because Dans, look at his ult charge. He's been diving in, he's been fighting a lot of people, but he only has 60% on the Primal because he gets melted every time. He's getting punished so hard. Junkrat is great at punishing Winston, especially with these traps. And when you have the support of a Mercy, it's just dangerous to get in. And phase 2, if they want to win that, if they want to out-deal, if they just pretty much, they need to break shield, they need to bring some presence to point, they need to find a way to engage properly and have all their cooldowns up.
They just need to drain ults here, first and foremost. Everything up for Atlanta. They're going to open up the Supercharger. Saucy, getting damage boosted from all ends. This is an Ashe just laying out enormous amounts of damage right now. Dan's already getting heavily focused. Same with A10. And Saucy has been the problem. They haven't dealt with. Sugar-Free midair deals with the Winston.
Dan's trying to get that dive, hoping he's going to get Primal, but when you're diving the damage boosted DPS of Junkrat Ashe, you're probably going to get burst. There was no Pika with him. Pika was not there. Nishik has used the Transcendence on that entry, and now they don't have anything to survive this spam. They can't engage properly. They're stuck on the high ground. What does phase 2 do from here without Dans? And the question is, and really the reality is, they're waiting for Dans to get there. They're going to try to pressure point. Most importantly for them, their goal is to pressure point and have Dans look for the setup.
The scary part here is this is such a good time for Sugar-Free the Tire. I think we're going to see it here. Sugar-Free getting back on out. The Tire out on the way. The Bob buying a little bit of time, but the Bob is not the threat. The Tire is the bigger threat. Bob might be down. Tire coming in, and it gets one. Still decent enough, not as much as you might have liked, but phase 2, even getting 2 ticks, Atlanta's fine to give that up. Saucy might be down, but guess what? He might be getting res back up.
And if phase 2 committed this fight any longer, we're at last fight territory. 27 seconds left. A10 still has trance. There's an still has grab. The trance is out early for Kodak. So now A10, he can get D-Mech. He does not even have to use it. No, he does not have to use grab. This is huge, the fact that they've saved this grab.
This is really, really nice. Good control from A10. Both on the mechanical level, just holding on to the grab. Final 40 seconds, phase 2. Still have an opportunity to even this up and force the draw. Atlanta, though, they have some tools for this defense, and they swap Saucy over to the Mei.
Going to use the Mei to split off that. Really, their goal here is to split the follow-up on the grab. They really, they use it so early, though. There's no wall available. The Supercharger's out. They force trance to the Supercharger. This is actually probably the best case scenario for them. There's the grab. Can they get the cleanup?
The bomb coming up to try and cover the grab. Saucy able to ice block away. Sugar-Free down. You have Tastro. Gonna res it back up. Still, Atlanta down 1. They lose Gator. Kodak, though, firing back. Main tank down from phase 2. 5 on 5. Both getting into it. Hawk gonna find himself D-Macked. A10 still in there. Charged and up, ready to go. And phase 2 getting good progress here in the point. Atlanta waiting, biding their time, draining the clock. We're in overtime. And Atlanta heading back onto the point. Hawk finding 1. And Atlanta being reinvigorated here. Full 6 coming back out. Saucy buying a lot of time. Hammond gonna pile drive the way on in. It's advantage Atlanta right now. Sock's in danger. Sock's gonna fall. And even as A10 hanging in there, he is getting melted on down by the rest of Atlanta as they move in. Phase 2 looking very wounded. And with Mei falling, it's still not enough. Atlanta gonna be holding it back. They keep their undefeated map streak alive at 2 so far.
So far, 2 maps for Atlanta. And I think we touched upon this point earlier, but Atlanta, they may have won the map, but they said they want to be 28-0 right now.
This is not looking like a 28-0
team.
No.
It's pretty close. Now, you could just chalk up that phase 2 was just looking incredibly strong. They could be much stronger here in Contenders than they were in Trials because they did have a 4-3 record in Trials, so they weren't Uprising Academy levels or Triumph levels necessarily, but they had some solid results. And if they're looking much better Contenders, that's great for them. You know, it bodes well for the future. But when I look at that defense there, Sugar Free didn't get value out of the tire, but you know who did get a lot of value? Saucy on May. Saucy, even if his walls weren't perfect, they were good, and he was continually building that charge, continually getting that pressure. So Saucy did a lot on May for that defense.
Well, Atlanta looking a little bit vulnerable on Assault, but that also could have been the very bit of Assault. You know what? We're going to get a little bit more data after the break.